Hello and welcome everyone to today's Power webinar, Get Future Ready Now. Modernize your VMware foundation for growth and innovation, powered by NetApp, brought to you by Strategy. I am Kanchi Ishan, General Manager for Content and Strategy at Strategy, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have you all with us today. Let's set the scene with a bit of perspective. Did you know that over 70% of businesses say that modernizing their digital infrastructure is their number one priority? But less than half of them are actually prepared to tackle it head on. Sounds a bit like trying to run a marathon without lacing up your shoes, doesn't it? Well, today we're going to change that narrative. We're here to not only help you lace up, but sprint ahead of competition by making the most of your VMware foundation. Imagine transforming your IT infrastructure into a strategic powerhouse that drives innovation, scales seamlessly, and helps your business grow faster than your favorite meme going viral. Without any further ado, to kick things off, I'd like to welcome Rajneesh Arora, the Chief Research Officer and Country Business Head, Singapore Head Strategic. Rajneesh is a thought leader who knows exactly what it takes to move the modernization needle, and he's about to show us how to take today's challenges and come out on the other side stronger, more efficient, and most importantly, future ready. Rajneesh, over to you.
It's my pleasure to have you here today. I'll be your host, and I'll be kicking off with a keynote session talking about how data-driven innovation is transforming our business landscape. What are the key priorities and investment areas that are helping organizations to become more data savvy in their endeavor. So let's get started and see how significant is the impact of this digital innovation agenda. We asked the question as part of our CXO research, what percent of your revenues do you get from digital business agenda in 2024 and 2030? And it's interesting that organizations are driving almost 27.6% or 28% of their revenue from digitally connected products, services, and customer experiences, which will go up to about a third of their revenue mix by next year. And by the end of the decade, it's almost going to be 46%. So almost half of their revenues by the end of the decade are going to be driven by digital business agenda. If you look at the global economy, it'll be almost $20 trillion of digital economy by 2025, going up to about $33 trillion by the end of the decade. Almost 24% of the GDP, global GDP in 25 is going to be driven by digital business agenda. And then how significant is the impact of AI? As we start to look beyond the hype that everyone is talking about, that AI is being overhyped, but the reality is it is going to have a profound impact on our global economy. Almost $15.7 trillion of incremental economic value would be added by 2030. And this value is going to be greater than the size of the economies of China and India today. So you can clearly see it's going to have a very profound and significant impact on our global economy, creating significant value for nations, organizations, and businesses of all sizes and across vertical industries. Now, what is also going to happen as a result of all these big changes and shifts that are taking place, tectonic shifts that are taking place, we're going to see a lot of organizations become irrelevant or will cease to exist as we know them today. Now, there's a research by Fortune 500 that 52% of the companies, as we knew them in 2003, ceased to exist by the time we were in 2023. Now, this rate and pace of demise of organizations is simply going to accelerate as digital technologies enable every organization to build new capabilities and have the ability to disrupt traditional barriers to entry across many vertical industries. And of course, when you look at in 2025, almost 70% of the organizations are saying that they'll have more IT budget, more tech spending, pivoting towards digital innovation agenda versus keeping the lights on and keeping your existing infrastructure and applications running. Now, when we ask the CIOs, what are the top three business priorities in your organization? And it wasn't very surprising to see digital business agenda being ranked by almost 40% of the survey respondents, that was among the top three business priorities for them. What is interesting is that increasingly, better data-driven decision making is now part of the whole thought process and the agenda of the CXOs, LOBs, and even the board. So in every organization, the leadership is starting to think, how do we start to make better business decisions, whether it is about how do we accelerate product design and development? How do we bring new products and services faster to the market? How do we bring to market products and services that are a lot more relevant for the changing customer paradigm and the customer tastes and preferences? And of course, the whole focus around driving revenue and profit goals and financials hasn't gone away. But what is important is 30% of the organizations feel or are starting to work towards defining a lot of their business processes using data driven technologies and capabilities. So, data is at the heart of this big transformation that we're seeing across organizations, all the way from Australia, New Zealand, the more mature technology savvy markets, to India at the other end of the spectrum, a rapidly growing economy with a lot of interesting mix of traditional businesses as well as a rapidly growing mix of digital natives. And then, of course, how significant and how real is the AI momentum at this point in time? And I'm sharing certain results from a state of the CIO survey that was done by CIO.com. And interestingly, we saw 80% of the CIOs agree that they're being tasked with researching and evaluating how can they start to leverage AI to make a profound impact and change in their organization. So clearly, it is becoming top of the agenda for a lot of the CIOs, CTOs, and technology leaders such as yourself. 70% of the CIOs agree that they are now starting to work more closely with business. What this means is that AI is not a technology play just. Increasingly, business is getting very extensively involved. Line of business executives, functional heads are getting involved with many of these AI projects because AI is starting to become business defining, and it is going to shape the competitive capabilities of every organization going forward. And of course, almost two-thirds of the CIOs and technology leaders agree that line of business is aggressively pushing for the adoption of AI across applications and services and enablement of products and solutions. So clearly, these numbers underscore the point that AI is real. AI is happening as we speak today and is going to have an even bigger impact over the next several years. Now, as we look at organizations becoming whether more data savvy, data accelerating their data driven innovation, or starting to embrace AI and Gen AI to transform their business processes and business functions, what organizations need to do is to build the right capabilities around data. Every organization has data, but unless and until organizations start to build excellence around these three key pillars, the first one is around access. Now, what is happening in every organization is as the technology landscape expands and becomes much more heterogeneous across, that includes multiple clouds, the rapidly growing edge infrastructure, what we are seeing is the emergence of, in many of these deployment scenarios, what we are seeing is that data complexity continues to grow because organizations are no longer running applications that are powered by block storage. There are applications that are using data personas that are sitting in file structures, or object storage is becoming increasingly big in many of these modern data-driven workloads. So clearly, unless and until you build a data infrastructure that provides right access for these myriad of applications and workloads across the vast expanse of IT landscape, you will not be able to drive and be able to thrive with data innovation. Second is your ability and capabilities of your infrastructure to be able to analyze information. Um, the real value of data comes from being able to take information from multiple sources, bring it together, ingest it into a platform, analyze it, especially when we are talking about some of these large AI training and inference models, and be able to create insights in real time. The key differentiator is going to be being able to create real-time insights that start to power the decision-making capabilities of the line of business executives. And of course, securing information, data protection, data compliance, data governance is extremely important, especially against the backdrop and specter of growing number of ransomware and malware attacks. Now, as you work with your technology partners, what I would like you to increasingly start challenging them and asking them questions, because if you don't get the right answers and support across many of these strategic imperatives, then it'll start to throttle your data-driven innovation capabilities. And the first one is ask your technology partners, how can they help you break down the silos, the data silos, and how can you manage data across or the data sprawl across these multiple clouds and the edge infrastructure? Because if you're not able to get access to data that exists across this vast expanse, then you will not necessarily be able to drive innovation or be able to benefit from data-driven business processes and business functions. Then how do you create seamless access for workloads? Now, it's not just about where the data exists, but also about how do you get seamless access to data? Because there are distinct data personas around block, file, and object across multiple workloads running not only in VMs, but increasingly in containers. So clearly, there's a lot more complexity that exists in the environment today than what it was 5 or 10 years back. How do you build a common data management platform? Because obviously, a lot of organizations, whether you're a large organization or a mid-sized organization, you've invested in a tremendous amount of infrastructure, storage platforms, systems, technologies, software over the years. And it's a fairly heterogeneous environment with their own distinct management platforms. But clearly, if you need to simplify your data infrastructure, you need a common data management platform, a common set of tools and capabilities for provisioning, managing, orchestrating data services seamlessly for highest levels of resiliency, agility, and flexibility. How do you build a high performance platform? Because many of these large language models for AI training and inference will require compute and computational capability that will be an order of magnitude greater than what you have in your environment today. So clearly, as you sit down and work with your technology partners, these are some of the areas from a data infrastructure standpoint that you should be seeking answers to so that you can accelerate and catalyze data-driven innovation in your organization. And last but not the least, how do you ensure that you can get 100% of your data back in the event of a ransomware or malware attack? Because this can be business defining. So in essence, key takeaways, businesses across vertical industries, across countries, across the different regions are transforming at blistering pace. This is a given thing. And a lot of this change and disruption that's happening today is powered by AI and Gen AI technologies that are helping to fuel this data-driven innovation in every organization, giving new capabilities, ability to compete against many of the established players in every vertical industry. The swarms of disruption that we're talking about are really going to require you to build a data infrastructure that's highly resilient, extremely agile, and flexible, because this is how your business needs are going to change. Businesses are increasingly demanding higher levels of resilience, agility, flexibility, and cost optimization to remain competitive in this highly dynamic, disruptive, and transformative business environment. Data maturity. How do you define data maturity of an organization? And it's defined as you build the right capabilities around access analysis and data security, governance, and cyber resiliency. And of course, all of this is not going to be done overnight, or it's a well-defined project that you can run over the next 3 to 6 months. It requires a multi-year strategic roadmap and a strategy to transform not only your technology infrastructure, but also build a data-driven culture in your organization, transform business processes that are powered by data so that you can take the right business decisions to enable success and competitive advantage for your organization into the future. So with that, I come to the end, and I'll leave you with a quote from John F. Kennedy, which is one of my favorite quotes, where he says, change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future. So if you're successful today, or you were a successful organization yesterday, make sure that your organization doesn't have a Kodak moment in the next 5 to 10 years. So thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the webinar.
Thank you so much, Rajneesh, for that fantastic keynote. Modernization truly is the key to maximizing business outcomes, and your insights have definitely set the perfect foundation for our discussion today. Next up, we have an exciting panel discussion featuring industry trailblazers who are seizing data as a strategic asset to power the future. Let me introduce our incredible speakers. Tushar Zade, CIO and CDO of Origin Pharmaceutical Services Limited. With him, we have Venu Kasojala, who is the Chief Data Officer at PwC India. And joining them in the conversation to tackle on the security part will be Mohammad Abul Kamal Azad, Head Information Security at the Eastern Bank, Bangladesh. Tushar and Venu will tackle on the all-important data part of the conversation, and later, Mohammad Abul Kalam Azad will chime in with his inputs on the security part. Moderating this discussion, we have none other than Rajneesh Arora. Let's put our hands together virtually and welcome our panel to discuss how to craft a data infrastructure that isn't just about storing and securing data, but leveraging it for actionable insights.
It's my pleasure to welcome you to this roundtable conversation. It's a pleasure to have you here. What we want to do today is, over the course of next 20 minutes or so, is to talk about data-driven innovation journey that each of you are helping to drive in your organization. If we look at it today, the business landscape, every vertical industry is being significantly impacted by data-driven innovation that is helping organizations build new competitive capabilities, whether it is in terms of customer experiences, whether it is in terms of how they are using data and information that exists both within the organization and outside the organization to do product engineering and product development. And not only that, accelerate the ability to bring new products and services to the market much faster than their competition. And of course, working a lot more seamlessly with their partners and suppliers to create a seamless supply chain environment. So the possibilities and opportunities to leverage data and turn it into actionable insights is immense. So share with me. Maybe let's start with Venu. You represent a professional services, a knowledge-based organization. So tell us something about how you're driving data-driven innovation in your organization.
Sure. First of all, thanks for having us today, Rajneesh. It's a pleasure to be talking to you today on this topic. I'm very passionate about data, and this subject, strikes right balance with my thoughts and where we would like to go and things like that. So, first of all, I am the Chief Data Officer for PwC India. So what it my role entitles me, or is requires me to set the data standards and also govern the data environment for better usage. That's the end outcome that anybody would like to achieve. So what we are doing today is actually trying to set up a culture, a data driven culture. What that means is, first of all, any decision that we take, do we have enough data to take that decision? That's the first thought which has to come to everybody. So for that, we are setting up training sessions, we are doing some boot camps, we are doing performances and things like that. So I think getting the thought process of data first is my number one priority, to drive that in the organization. Number two, when we look at applications that are going to be built or being built, we would like to have, where do you want to land this data? We would like to first understand, what kind of data comes out of it, how you want to architect it, so that today you might be $1 billion company, and tomorrow you could be a $5 billion or a $10 billion company. You could easily scale up, and you can take care of your data, which is, people say is an asset, but I would say it is a connected universe these days. Number three, getting right people, and the right skill sets in the people, laying their hands on the data. So I think these are three things that I'm working here at PwC India to make data strategic and also valuable for our company.
I'll come back to you and talk about the culture part, because that's a very distinct conversation. But let's talk more from a technology aspect. And you mentioned about getting the right access. Now, given that today you look at any organization, they are operating across multiple clouds, the edge infrastructure continues to grow, and as a result of that, we're ending up with a lot of data silos and data sprawl. So, how are you trying to address that challenge in your organization, or is that not a challenge in your organization?
So see, today I think first of all, that's not a challenge, for at least for us right now, for in our current position and role. But see, to address these challenges, I think you need to have a strong foundation, and that strong foundation is your data architecture. It should be the Bible, which says that you have to take this informed route of infrastructure supported by software, where your data sits in and can be utilized. So that, I think, it's not a problem today for us, but if we do not have right data architecture and right thought process, it will become a problem at some point.
Sure. Tushar, how about you? You represent a pharmaceuticals company, and what are the unique requirements in terms of data and information assets that are helping to create new capabilities for the organization?
So, first of all, thank you so much, Rajneesh, for having me and Venu on the panel. So, I think one important thing, what I would say from the data silos perspective, and you asked this to Venu, I'm just trying to reflect on how a
Sure.
pharmaceutical company operates. So, I think pharmaceutical companies, or perhaps for that matter, any manufacturing company in the world, there are these silos and some Chinese wall between various functions like R&D and manufacturing. They will not shake hands that easy. While their data is there in certain shape and form, but it is actually more insightful to look at both of them together. Yeah, what works for R&D probably will work for manufacturing or not, is something when you put together both the data sets together and look at it, right? So many times the ball gets dropped between the cracks in such big manufacturing hubs, right? And data is the bridge overcoming that Chinese wall. So what we try to do, every company perhaps nowadays is trying to build all these data lakes and the data warehouses, and try to make sense of the data, try to drive some insights from it. And the end state what we all are looking at is some use cases around how the systemic interventions take decisions on its own based on the data, based on certain business rules, right? I would allude towards the generative AI and AI use cases. But having said that, if you want to do a generative AI or any AI use cases, the data is must. Many times in our Indian space, we don't invest enough, or the budgets are screwed in terms of when we want to invest in putting a MES system or a LIM system, which is more on a shop floor perspective. Because the question what the CEOs ask a CIO is, hey, look, if I give you $1 million, can you give me 100 million back in next 5 years? So the boardroom conversations are more ROI driven now, right?
Yeah.
Having said that, I think the CIOs have now learned the lesson, and we present our business case in such a way that, hey, look, there is a tangible benefit, there is intangible benefit. Tangible benefit is XX dollars, and intangible benefits are so many, and we have a good business case written for it. But the conversation why I'm trying to put it here is, first, the data capture itself, whether are we capturing the data at source rightly or not, is an important aspect. I'll give you a couple of examples. One example I could think of is, see, we have this employee master. We all run some ERPs in the world, and if I want to know how many postgraduates, MBAs are there, now in some of the ERPs, the PG is a drop down. It's not a drop down. Sorry, it's a free text. Some HR has written M.B.A. Someone has written Master of Business Administration. Someone has written MBA without a space. Right. So how do you make sense of all this? Right. So the core is getting the basics right. First of all, make sure that it's a drop down. It's not a free text, so that you are able to get the data at source in the right fashion. Then you can do all those insights and all those AI use cases in the future. But I think it's important to understand what data is getting captured and where.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you're talking about is really cleansing of the data to make sure that it's consistent and it's easily accessible. And when you talk about those Chinese walls, I think in many ways it's all about creating the right data culture. Because once an organization starts to build and evolve towards a data-driven organization, this whole notion of holding on to this is my line of business or this is my functional data, and I need to hold it close to my chest, that will start to go away. And I think for that, functional roles like chief data officer or chief digital officer are required to sort of pull together the different functional heads and say, look, data is not to be owned by any one entity within a large organization. Anyway, we'll talk about it more towards the end, but let's jump into one very pertinent issue that every organization is facing is, and it's a hot button topic, is around the VMware environment. As you all know, VMware, after it got acquired by Broadcom, it's changed how it's going to be positioning its integrated platform and capabilities. And of course, that means that certain customers will see a significant increase in the cost of the VMware environment. So one, is your VMware environment a concern for you, given how VMware and Broadcom's pricing is going to change? And what are the challenges that you see as a result of that? Tushar, is VMware environment a big concern for you in your organization?
So we perhaps any company today, perhaps in the pharmaceutical space. Let me represent the pharmaceutical sector. Many of our workloads run on VM. Yeah, in all these pharma giants. Some of it are taken. Maybe people have taken the cloud first approach as well, but not everyone is there yet. The important aspect of it is which application or which workload I want to run on-prem, maybe on a VMware kind of a setup, and which I want to run it on cloud. There are certain data sets like our scientific information, which we don't want to let it be in the public cloud. We want to run it on a on-prem VMware kind of a setup. Continues to be held within the VMware space, right? There are certain, if I'm talking about hospital industry, right? Hospitals want to keep the patient's data as secured as they could because it is gold mine for them. So all these decisions of what goes on to cloud and what continues to stay on VMware continues to haunt us if the cost increases, because cost is an important aspect, Rajesh. Like I previously told, if I invest 1 million, how can I get 100 million back? The question is like that. So cost remains to be a bigger problem for all of us. Another aspect of it I think is important is the optimized environment. How are we able to optimize it? How are we able to consolidate it, right? And which ultimately helps us to maintain it better. The maintenance becomes challenging after a certain period of time if you don't have the right consolidation, rather, right? Another thing is, I think, what is currently missing is kind of a tailored approach, a tailored solution, which we expect from such partners, for running a particular application or a particular workload. A tailored approach is what sometimes is missing. So these 2-3 points are actually pertaining for any pharmaceutical or any manufacturing industry as such. Rajesh.
So let me ask you, so are any of your existing technology partners helping you to optimize your VMware environment so that you're able to mitigate any potential cost increase? Because if that happens, then obviously it impacts your ability to innovate and allocate more dollars towards new projects that will drive innovation and new capabilities.
Yeah, I would say yes. There are few partners who are helping us in optimizing the cost there. But I think, like I said, these are partners. They are coming as vendors. We want strategic advisors, right? We want the technology advisors to come in and say that, okay, end-to-end solution, this is what it looks like. Again, we are the pharmaceutical hub, and we continue to manufacture a lot of medicines for the world. But I think the right strategic partnership with such partners, helping us not only solve the smaller VMware cost part, but the end-to-end part of it, optimizing, consolidation, and everything. That is currently missing in the current partnership.
Do you think moving some of the VMware workloads into containers is the right answer or is the solution to the problem?
Again, based on the use case, Rajneesh, if at all I want to run a use case which is pertaining to my patient safety within the compliance and regulatory frame, probably I'll continue to run it on VMware.
Or is that so?
Yeah.
Okay. So more of the mission critical, business critical workloads that are hosting a lot of sensitive data, you would probably continue to run it in VMs.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you, Venu? What about how's the situation at your organization? Is the VMware change impacting your organization as well?
It is not impacting per se. I think it is like skilling up and trying to manage multiple environments and multiple silos of data today. But I think my friend Tushar, he answered a couple of those regarding the concerns and what we look forward from a partner and things like that. The need of the hour today is like one consolidated view of like how your physical infrastructure vis-a-vis how your cloud infrastructure is performing, and where the optimization what you call the optimization opportunities are. Advanced analytics around like can you move certain workloads to containers and or stay back with VMware and things like that. So I think the market is evolving, solutions are evolving, so do the partners will. So today it is two siloed approach, but very soon I'm pretty sure that it would be a single window pane for anybody like us to take a decision whether to be on VMware or to be on a containerized virtual environment when it comes to running the workloads and things like that. I hope I answered your question.
Sure. To a certain extent, but are you looking at moving a lot more of your workload in general into containers as a modernized way of running and managing your workloads and data? Is
Yeah.
that the approach you guys are taking?
I don't want to scare off people who are invested on VMware technologies and those, but absolutely anything that is not PII or anything that is not very private to an organization will go to cloud, be it private or public. I'm not debating that point at this point in time, but it will. Yeah.
You could take your workloads into the cloud and still be running into VMs because
Absolutely.
now with almost every large or major cloud provider, they give you the option of running your VMware environment both on-prem as well as in their hosted cloud environment. So that is really not an issue. You can always go into the public cloud. Do you think having a data management platform in your organization would help to address a lot of the data challenges that you've been talking about, whether it is the silos, whether it is this data sprawl, whether it is about lack of access to the right information? Because once you have a common data management layer, then you can apply universally consistent data management tools and capabilities for orchestration, provisioning, to ensure that uh, information is available seamlessly across the organization, irrespective of where it is being hosted.
Absolutely. Yes. I think when you say data management and in one breath you're catching hold of a couple of hardware infrastructure components and the data management, the software aspects of it,
Yep.
I'm sure you're meaning the infrastructure in this particular conversation, or
Not
are you,
really. See, what happens with a data management platform is that you continue to run your best of breed storage systems and platforms. What happens is that you have a common software layer that sort of binds or connects all these disparate uh, persistent storage environments that you have in your organization, whether it is running block, file, object, on-prem, off-prem. And as you want to move information or access information, it gives you that ability to seamlessly access information and also drive the information across the environment.
100%? Yes, I think
Okay,
that single
great.
pane view is very
Single pane
critical.
of glass
Yeah.
for managing the access
Yes.
and everything. Yeah. Okay, now let me turn over to Abul Kalam, who is joining us from Bangladesh, Great Eastern Bank. So let me understand, Abul Kalam, tell us something about how are you helping to drive data resiliency against the backdrop of growing cyber attacks, malware and ransomware attacks? How are you sort of building the right cyber resiliency capabilities at the bank?
Thanks, Rajnish and other panelists. And I was hearing about the problem and challenge regarding data and management, all these things. So, as I work for cybersecurity as a CISO, from cybersecurity perspective, we have lots of challenges in for data also. Like first of all, what we face regarding data, classification of data. Every organization has lots of data, unnumberable. Even many people doesn't know what type of data they have. So in digital form, in paper format. So first of all, problem is they don't know what data they have and what is the uses of that data. And after that come the classification. As they don't know the data, what data they definitely could not classify the data. As they could not classify the data, they cannot protect or take the measure to protect it. Like, so based on the classification, we have to take the control or implement the control to protect it. As we many people cannot classify data, even they don't know, they cannot classify. So hence, sometimes they feel some data has been breached. After searching, they find some legacy data they have stored in a server, they have stored in a backup, some data which was available in an archive that has been breached. But that contain very sensitive information, that may be customer data, maybe business sensitive information. They face tremendous damage, reputational damage, operational damage of this. So that is the major challenge in the data. So we people doesn't exactly think what data we have, even we don't identify all the data available in the organization, then classify. As a result, they cannot keep or they cannot implement the control to protect that. That's how the uh, problem happening in the perspective of data in the cybersecurity area.
So, Mohammed Abul, tell us, do you agree with the statement that to a large extent, lack of data-driven culture in an organization is one of the key inhibitors.
Definitely, lots of data-driven decision making is culture is a key enabler. Definitely, like whatever decision we take, mostly, if it's based on data, then decision probability of the success of that decision is very high. When we take decision without data, without analyzing the previous history, that decision accidentally may be successful, but majority time it will be unsuccessful, and it doesn't bring the appropriate result to organization. Like, and it may sometimes leads to temporary benefit, but in the long run it will be damage for the organization. So data driven decision is the best thing when management takes. And if we can consider appropriate data, that what comes to appropriate data, what data we need to consider, whether data we are taking, is it appropriate data or it is relevant data, is the main thing. So if the decision comes from appropriate and relevant data, that definitely is a good thing for organization. It definitely leads to the success.
Great. Thank you so much. Now we're coming to the end of the conversation, and I'll give each one of you probably less than a minute to just tell me what would you expect from your technology partners, the things that they should really do well in the next 12 to 18 months that'll help you accelerate your data-driven data innovation journey over the next couple of years. So maybe let's start with Venu. You can go first.
Sure. Since you have just given me like 60 seconds, I would like to highlight the broader areas where I would like these partners to work on. Some of them are like, seamless integration, continuous innovation, flexible multi-cloud options, advanced analytics per se, also data governance support.
Great. How about you, Tushar? What
All
would
right. So,
you expect from your technology partners?
sure. Again, very briefly, strategic advisor. Don't be a tool provider, be a strategic advisor, think end to end, help us solve for it completely. Optimizing cost, help us to optimize the cost wherever possible. Being more flexible, tailoring solutions best fit for the use case, whatever we are trying to solve for. And I think helping the industry by coming up with cutting edge insights and best practices on data management. These are my 4 expectations from the industry.
Great. Mohammed Abul, what would you
Yeah.
give message to the technology partners out there? What should they be
Okay.
doing better to
Yeah.
help you in your data-driven journey?
Yeah. What my personally, I think my partner will help us like storing the large volume of data, as we need to store large volume of data. So we need some solution which can really reduce the cost and really reduce the size of the storage, and such that it can be affordable, and we can store it into multiple sites considering the disaster recovery. That's what we expect from the storage partner or data solution provider.
So greater data resiliency.
Data
You talk
resiliency,
about
right?
being able to store across multiple sites.
Yeah,
You are intending to have greater data resiliency in the event of a
right,
ransomware or a malware attack. You're able to recover
right,
pretty quickly.
right, exactly.
Great. Thank you so much, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure having this conversation with you. Thank you so much, Venu, Tushar, and Mahmoud Abul. It's been a pleasure and look forward to having such conversations with you in the future. Thank you and have a nice day.
Absolutely. Looking forward to. Thank you.
A big thank you to our wonderful speakers for shedding light on how modernizing data infrastructure isn't just about technology, but about reshaping business strategy to drive innovation, agility, and growth. Thank you very much, Tushar, Venu, Mohammad Abul, and Rajneesh. With that, it's time for our fireside chat, a cozy conversation about modernization that will set you on the overdrive. And our expert for this segment is Chris Gondek, Solutions Engineering Manager, ANZ Specialist at NetApp. Moderating this conversation, I'd once again like to welcome Rajneesh Arora. And before I hand it over to the both of them, I'm going to request all of you to drop in your questions over chat. Our experts will address them right there.
Welcome, Chris, to this fireside chat. Look forward to having a spirited conversation with you on a very hot button topic. The industry and the global economy is all talking about data-driven innovation and, this whole shift to digitization and digital businesses. But what I believe is, and I'm sure you probably agree with me, in order to sort of accelerate and drive this data-driven innovation, there are a few key strategic imperatives that every CIO and IT leader needs to work on to become a lot more data savvy. What is, in your opinion, some of these top of the mind strategic data innovation, data management imperatives that they should be focusing on?
Yeah, thank you, Rajneesh. Look, it absolutely is interesting times that we're in. We call it at NetApp the fourth wave. This fourth wave that's been brought about innovations specifically through AI. There's the good and the bad elements of it. So it does create a lot of what you call exactly data-driven imperatives. I could probably summarize them in about 2 or 3 top criteria. And it's almost formulated in a way that allows a business to be best prepared to do things responsibly. We don't want to rush into any of these new innovations without carefully considering some of the impacts. So I typically talk about 3 key things around resiliency, intelligence, and innovation. The resiliency side of things is almost a first step forward. We're talking about the security of the data repositories, the availability, and then some of the governance around that. This ensures or assures business continuity, especially given that data is that mission critical asset that fuels all of these activities. The next one is around intelligence. Intelligence is the kind of underpinning approach to turning data into information. And then we as humans, I guess, consume and manipulate that information for these outcomes. But this is also where things like compliance and governance come into play through key areas such as data classification, identification, and preparation. Being able to really identify our workloads helps us to make better data-driven resiliency decisions. Once you've got those 2 things in place, then you're ready to innovate. This is where you start to take advantage of high performance, feature-rich capabilities that are going to fuel and accelerate these AI initiatives with confidence.
Great. Now, in order to get that intelligence piece in order, I think a lot of organizations today are kind of struggling with data sprawl that spans across the multiple clouds that they're using. And of course, they've also opened up a new frontier in terms of the edge infrastructure. So there is the data sprawl and also data silos that organizations have created. There were the traditional silos of data existing across different business functions and business units. And now we are seeing these silos being created across different deployment scenarios. Now, what do you think? How can technology vendors help customers address this challenge of data sprawl and silos? Because I'm sure this is going to impact their ability to drive intelligence and also increase the challenge around resiliency.
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head when you said these multiple clouds. I think the concept of multiple clouds breaks down into multiple infrastructures. Those multiple infrastructures housing multiple different applications with their associated user experiences are creating data silos and data repositories in multiple places. Really, the only solution to this challenge is unification, some sort of unified capability. And that's something that NetApp's been known for many decades. In fact, we introduced a unified capability around the early 2000s, which then extended into what is today known as the hybrid multi-cloud capability with our unified data management platform. That unified data management platform solves a number of key issues. One is the data silo problem by being able to provide that same platform with the same experience and same features in multiple simultaneous places. That removes certain elements of risks and provides that kind of data and workload portability. But we need the user experience to go with that. This is really important because multiple ecosystems introduce varying levels of differentiation in user experience. And we all know that technology adoption, the number one barrier to it is the complexity. If we eliminate that kind of user experience complexity by having that single unified platform combined with a unified user experience, we can deliver those same services and same service levels no matter where you find your workloads. Now, this is going to become increasingly important as we spoke about earlier with AI initiatives. A lot of that capability is dependent on these data feeds that a lot of businesses right now are having trouble in basically trying to bring them all together into a central repository. And that takes a lot of work. It's a lot of cost, a lot of time and effort. And there's not just one person asking for that. There are a number of data scientists that are asking for that capability.
So when you say unified data management platform, are you saying that if I have this in my organization and I'm running my organization's data infrastructure, I can seamlessly manage using this data management platform all my data repositories across the different clouds in my on-prem environment or at the edge?
Absolutely. Our approach to data management has always been through a single unified operating platform, which we call ONTAP. ONTAP is the foundation of the NetApp data fabric and is basically what the company was founded on. This vision of being able to provision data on tap, the same way that you would expect to consume any type of service. And this is ubiquitous no matter where you find us. In every hyperscaler, there is a native cloud offering based on our technology. And there is also our software, which can run on any infrastructure, as well as our purpose-built appliances for the data center that deliver that high performance and feature-rich capabilities. And that's how we address this situation from a hybrid multi-cloud perspective. Even when we're talking about out at the edge, our intelligent data caching solutions, as well as our software capable approach of running on any infrastructure, provides this single unified data management capability that simultaneously and ubiquitously exists across these environments.
So I love this term ubiquitous that you've used. Does it mean that, if I have existing third-party storage platforms and systems in my environment, I don't need to retire them overnight? I can continue to use them with the data fabric and the ONTAP operating environment?
We have turned many legacy infrastructure environments into temporary NetApp ONTAP systems by running our ONTAP software technology on top of this infrastructure. And this is usually in preparation of adopting the NetApp platforms, specifically our appliances on premises and data centers. But our software-only approach is already available in all of the hyperscalers, both in a platform as a service offering and an infrastructure as a service offering. So that allows you to absolutely take advantage of any existing physical infrastructure to coincide with our intelligent data infrastructure offerings.
Wonderful. Now, another layer of complexity that we are seeing from a data standpoint comes from the fact that today customers are no longer running workloads that are powered by block storage or block data. We have file, and increasingly a lot more of the modern workloads are being, leveraging object storage as an example. So is the data management platform able to support these different data personas?
Absolutely. NetApp has always been known for being that unified storage management capability, which consists of file, object, and block, all from the same storage capability, both the operating system and the intelligent data infrastructure appliances we make. Now, we do have a block-only offering that is specifically targeted and priced for those block workloads. We recognize that block in itself has an addressable market and specific requirements around performance and availability that block storage is ideal for. But our unified platform absolutely provides all of those storage protocols from the same appliance or from the same storage virtual machines. And this actually provides a number of significant savings above and beyond just being that unified platform from a feature perspective. If you think about efficiencies, If I have all of those capabilities from one single platform, then those efficiencies are experienced universally across them. This is also the earlier scenario that we're talking about from a user experience perspective. It's still the same interface and effectively the same entity that we're managing to deliver these multiple protocols to multiple different organizational units that are running different applications with different requirements. The service levels, the performance and the efficiencies, as well as the security remains the same across them.
So this seems like a blessing in disguise for a lot of storage administrators and people who are managing this whole data complexity and data sprawl out there, that continues to challenge them. And in fact, in many organizations, it's also even throttling innovation because organizations are not able to access the right information at the right time. And hence, they're sort of over provisioning infrastructure. They're investing in multiple management platforms. So I guess they need to undergo a roadmap and have a
Yes.
strategic vision if they really want to truly benefit from this approach. What are your thoughts on this?
Absolutely. You've hit the nail on the head there. A lot of businesses have the simultaneous challenges of adhering to security requirements, wanting to remain efficient and cost optimized, but also innovate with new technologies like AI. It's almost like you can only have one out of the three. And we've spoken to a lot of our customers and prospects, and they do tell us that they really only have enough resources to address one of the three challenges. Now, naturally, of the three, security is first and foremost the most important one, because without that one, everything else collapses. And we need to have that kind of secure mindset. NetApp, we are the world's most secure storage platform. We have a number of capabilities, including our ransomware recovery guarantee, which is unique in the industry. But the storage platform, which is secure by design, helps to allow our customers to continue to innovate without compromising on the security, but they're also not sacrificing the efficiency. Every step we make with innovation in our storage and intelligent data infrastructure platform is done in lockstep with all of our capabilities. So as we increase and enhance our security features, we don't do this by being detrimental to our efficiencies, like deduplication, compression, compaction, etc. All of the efficiencies are done prior to things like encryption. Doing things like tamper-proof and ransomware recovery guarantee snapshots is something that we've been doing for decades, and we're getting increasingly better at it. This then allows our customers to know they're putting their best foot forward with inherent security without compromising on the efficiencies to be able to focus on their innovation projects, specifically around AI.
No, when you talk about efficiency, I really want to bring up a topic which is almost like a hot button topic in the industry these days, and that's around VMware. Now, VMware has sort of gone and repackaged how it's selling its multiple products and solutions and technologies under three distinct, offerings, as you may call it. Now, obviously, that means that the cost of running in a VMware environment has gone up significantly for a lot of customers. Now, how is NetApp helping customers drive efficiency and cost optimization? Because there is no way out of these mission-critical, business-critical workloads that are running in a VMware environment. You really can't go to another third-party, hypervisor, because this has happened over multiple decades. They've created these hardened environments. So how are you helping customers address that challenge?
Spot on. And I like what you said there. There is no way out. There is no easy way out. That's for sure.
Oh, okay. I stand corrected. No easy way out.
There's definitely no easy way out. There's always a way out, right? But it might not be the one that the business is favoring. So from the perspective of VMware, absolutely, it's a very hot topic since the Broadcom acquisition and the significant simplification of the licensing structure of VMware. The one thing that we have seen that our customers and our partners are sharing with us is that the prices have significantly increased, which is making our customers look at their VMware environment for the first time in a different way, or they're almost looking at it like the way we would look at a hyperscaler environment, where we see the costs up front for our infrastructure. These aren't kind of almost sunk costs anymore. So there's two specific ways that we're helping our customers. And I'll preface that by saying that being an intelligent data infrastructure company means that we don't sell servers and we don't sell networking equipment, and we definitely don't make a hypervisor. So we provide a very objective view about where customers can run their workloads. We call it appropriate workload, appropriate infrastructure, or appropriate cloud. And so the two ways that we're helping is, one, from the bottom up. Our intelligent data infrastructure platform, as mentioned, is ubiquitous. It is omnipresent both in the data center and in hyperscaler environments. We're the only independently scalable storage service for VMware in cloud, for example, in all three hyperscalers. And this also extends out to the non-VMware platforms, the alternative hypervisors and native cloud. The other way that we help our customers cost optimize is through a process we call Know Your Current State Before Planning Your Future State. We use our very intelligent, what we call Data Infrastructure Insights platform. Now, this is an observability and infrastructure observability solution that is looking at VMware infrastructure, the entire stack, over periods of time to do a very thorough workload analysis. And we can see everything. We can see where we have over-provisioned or under-provisioned. We can see where there are opportunities to reclaim waste and right size. And these give some very immediate savings, but also allows a customer to understand their VMware environment from a holistic perspective. There are permutations with this intelligence that we get that other tools just can't find. One of these examples is reducing an individual VM core count down and improving on infrastructure optimization. But they also found that the application that was running within that virtual machine, where we brought the core count down because of storage performance, ran an application which was also licensed on cores. And the biggest amount of savings was from reducing that application core count licensing, not just the infrastructure licensing. So it's kind of a combination. Intelligent data infrastructure providing efficiencies and portability and peace of mind with security and administration. That has a tangible and intangible benefits. And then you've got that intelligent data infrastructure constantly doing continuous cost optimization and right sizing, no matter whether it's VMware or any other infrastructure environment. And this is not limited to NetApp storage either. We can look at any infrastructure environment, any cloud environment, as well as any microservice architecture with Kubernetes.
So how is it kind of distinct from other third-party observability platforms out there? How should a customer be looking at the data infrastructure observability capabilities versus any of the third-party solutions out there? Because obviously they don't want to create an overhead of observability solutions out there.
Spot on. And look, I very regularly say we're not trying to be a Splunk or a New Relic here in this situation. Those solutions, full-blown, full-stack observability solutions, go right out to application performance management as well as infrastructure performance management. Our data infrastructure intelligence and insights is specifically around infrastructure. We know that all applications are running on a mix of compute, network, storage, and these fluctuate in their usage over time. We provide that intelligence to not just help right size, but also help to understand the profiles of these workloads. And that helps us to make those infrastructure adjustments. And a lot of the time, we're also finding that latency and IOPS, a lot of storage-related data access and data performance-related activities have a significant impact on applications and their performance. And the only analogy I can use here is for those folks who are as old as me and remember the experience when we went from spinning disk hard drives to solid-state hard drives in our laptops, right? That's the fastest I ever saw my operating system boot ever. And I just thought, this is the first significant leap in performance. So our infrastructure observability being focused just on the infrastructure that underpins the applications really simplifies that use case down to that cost optimization side of things. And then to do further, deeper workload analysis, that's where we hand over to those other tools that are more application performance focused.
Great. Now, a lot of CIOs are kind of getting overwhelmed because everyone talks about resilience. We'll guarantee data resiliency for you. We'll help drive data performance in your environment. We'll sort of make access much simpler and easier. We'll provide data mobility for you. How is NetApp sort of helping customers overcome this overwhelming experience that they're going through, as I would define it, and sort of helping them build a journey? Because I don't think this is a point solution. I think this is where they need a partner with whom they can work over multiple years to sort of evolve and transform and modernize their data infrastructure environment. So any thoughts on that before we wrap up?
I love the way you put that. Yes, modernize, and especially when we're talking about resiliency, because resiliency encompasses security concepts, it encompasses governance and compliance, as well as other things that wrap up into business continuity and assurance. Really, what it boils down to is we need to adopt a zero trust model on the data side of things. Everyone has this focus on network-centric security and network-centric zero trust. If we think cybersecurity, that's where we go to naturally: antivirus, firewalls, threat detection. But really, where is the asset? It's on the storage platform. We are the first and last line of defense. Data spends 98% of its life at rest. And so we need to look after that data from our perspective, being the real-time detection, prevention, and rapid recovery service. So what we've done is we've incorporated a lot of our own AI and machine learning into our intelligent data infrastructure. And we've introduced something called autonomous ransomware protection, which we've had for some time. If you think about cyber attacks, when do they happen? It's arbitrary, right? We can't schedule when a cyber attack is going to happen. So we need AI constantly monitoring human behavior, looking for anomalous behavior, anomalous patterns, anomalous data activity. And with a very extremely fast and successful accuracy rate, block that activity and create a ransomware recovery guarantee tamper-proof snapshot. So the security that we're building into our intelligent data infrastructure doesn't just stop at multi-factor authentication, multi-admin authentication, or things like encryption. There's also this AI autonomous ransomware protection, and up the chain, we're doing user behavior analysis to ensure that all of that data activity is being monitored in real time, and we're getting increasingly more sophisticated at identifying these anomalous behaviors and patterns and activities to provide real-time detection, protection, but most importantly, a guaranteed rapid, if not instant, recovery point. And so we do play a significant role in cyber resiliency. And this is applied to everywhere you find us. We talked about our omnipresence. The capability in ONTAP is the same capability wherever you find us.
Now, NetApp talks about data guarantee in the event of a ransomware attack. How real is that? So do you really tell customers that they will be able to recover their data in the event a ransomware attack happens without having to pay the bad actors?
So really what this means at the end of the day, let's be realistic about it, is our confidence, our extreme confidence in our ability to create a tamper-proof, immutable, indelible recovery point that we can restore from. This isn't new technology. We've been doing this for decades. In fact, we've had a capability known as Snap Lock for compliance purposes for a long time. All we're doing is leveraging that same technology to assist in a cyber resiliency scenario. Now, one thing I will add to that is the concept of multi-admin verification. Even if I am the administrator that created the environment, I alone do not have the power to destroy the environment. I very regularly ask our customers, our partners, and our prospects, who is protecting you from you? And at the end of the day, we have to adopt a zero trust model. Zero trust means we don't even trust the administrator that created the environment. We need multi-admin verification, multiple security principles to come together and agree on destructive behavior, whether we need to delete data permanently or whether we want to unlock a tamper-proof snapshot that may have been created through an honest mistake, but where zero trust first and foremost. We're going to assume it's a rogue administrator or compromised credentials.
I think
that rolls up to the guarantee, basically.
I agree. I completely agree. And I think the industry has to really embrace zero trust as a big cultural shift. If they really want to build a fully cyber resilient environment that's protected against these growing ransomware and malware attacks, they need to have zero trust posture all the way from infrastructure, silicon, up to the database and the application layer. And that's the only way to have, a resilient infrastructure in your environment. We've come to the end of the session. It's been a pleasure talking to you. We could go on and on, but we constrained by the time that we have for this module. But it's been a pleasure, Chris, having you for this fireside chat and hearing great insights from you. And I think NetApp is really on the right path to help customers accelerate and drive data-driven innovation in their organization for business success and advantage.
Rajneesh, thank you for your time. I appreciate that. And if I may add one more closing comment, the one thing that I didn't touch on while we were talking about all of these scenarios is sustainability. And I think it's important to raise because as we all know, as we're increasing and embarking on these innovations like artificial intelligence projects, we keep hearing about how much power these things are going to consume. And, you've heard me throughout our conversation talk about without sacrifice, without compromise. This also includes our approach to ESG. And if we can create a smaller data footprint by design, we're creating a smaller carbon footprint. So all of the efficiencies that I spoke of, as well as the intelligence built into our intelligent data infrastructure, we give our customers a visual view of their environmental power and cooling requirements, as well as some AI ops intelligence in how to improve on their sustainability scores, especially by reducing that data footprint to help reduce the carbon footprint. So I'll finish off with that one on a green note.
Thank you so much on that note. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Chris, for that insightful fireside chat. It was fantastic to hear how modernizing VMware with innovative solutions can create a real foundation for growth and transformation. Your deep dive into the capabilities and benefits was truly eye-opening. And thank you, Rajneesh, for steering such an engaging conversation. This conversation brought out some great takeaways on building a future-ready and agile infrastructure. Let's give them both a virtual round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. That brings us to the end of this webinar. And I'd like to thank each one of you for having taken your valuable time to join us today, and hope that all of you have taken away some exciting takeaways and some great insights. We'd request all of you to please spend a few more moments of your time. The feedback form for this particular webinar will splash on your screens in just a few minutes from now, and we request you to please fill that in. Do mention any suggestions or recommendations that you have for us, because this obviously helps us improve the content, structure, and delivery of our conferences. And with that, we request all of you to please stay tuned for what's next, because we're just getting started and there's so much more knowledge, insight, and value coming our way. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we take your leave. Stay safe, stay healthy, everybody. Until the next time.